Could you tell me about your role at Essex?
So I was known as a bringing in the Bystander Frontrunner in the Frontrunner scheme, and I worked within the Student Support Centre. So my main duties was to oversee and review our bringing in the Bystander training that we offer to students, and in the background sort of look at other campaigns we could implement and how to improve our existing ones.
And what did you do in your role?
So the first thing I did was attend the Bystander training, because I had never heard of it before, so I'd never sort of understood what it was all about. So I attended the training both as a participant and as an observer to try and see how everyone else was getting involved. And then I would discuss with students, staff, do internet research to find out how we could improve it, suit it to Essex, because obviously the Bystander training is an American scheme, and obviously that doesn't work properly. So it was looking at constantly improving it and how we can make it fit Essex.
And you said to me earlier in a statement that you were underwhelmed by the university's attitudes towards sexual violence on campus. Could you expand on that comment, please?
I felt as though my entire time in the Student Support Centre was almost a farce. I felt like I was there out of this necessity to tick a box on a regulatory sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, like they have to pay attention to sexual harassment on campus, therefore we are going to run this training and this person can oversee it so it looks like we're doing something. But in reality, behind the scenes, when I was making these suggestions on how we can improve it, on what I think needs to be changed, because I think a lot needed to be changed, I wasn't impressed with the training at all, it wasn't listened to. It was sort of pushed to the side. It was like, oh, that's a good idea, maybe we could do this, or that's a good idea, but we don't have the power to do this. And in the end, it just felt like the training was there because it had to be, and they weren't interested in making it a better experience, because I think it had the potential to be great if it was done properly, but they weren't willing to put in that effort to actually make sure it was.
And have there ever been occasions where you felt that the university were risking students as a whole's safety on campus?
I think in general they do it on a day-to-day basis, in the fact that I don't feel as if though they're putting in the effort. As I said with the training, in the long term their negligence of this subject is putting students in danger. People aren't being taught about it. Specific occasions I have been witness to getting in reports of sexual assault on campus, and while there is concern for the victim's safety, i.e. have they seen a doctor, do they need to see a counsellor, I never heard anything about seeking out the perpetrator. I never heard anything about what are the consequences going to be for them, which scares me, because it's great that we're helping the victims to be seen by doctors, etc., but we're giving them no reassurance that it won't happen again.
What methods do you think should be implemented on campus to help combat sexual violence?
I think, going from my role, better training. Training obviously isn't always going to be the best option, it's not compulsory for everyone, but I think basic training for members of staff, SU staff, people in societies should perhaps be introduced, and the training needs to be better, frankly. It needs to be suited to Essex, it needs to have recent and relevant examples, not examples from 1968, not examples from, a small town in Ohio. It needs to be here, it needs to be now, because sexual assault is a hot topic. And talking about it and not being afraid to talk about it is what I think the university needs to do to make people aware of it, and making people aware of it and understanding the consequences, I think will not, straight away, but over time, reduce the effect it has.
A key issue that keeps arising amongst the students that I've interviewed is that they feel that the university doesn't communicate things clearly enough. Would you agree on this, considering you worked in the team?
Wholeheartedly. I mean, on general issues, I think that their communication is lacking. On communicating things such as tackling sexual assault I think the university is scared to do it, which is why there's not a lot of it. Any communication we hear is usually around an event that's being run, and we see like a nicely designed poster that's put on the wall, but there's no shout out about it. There's no, this is happening, this is what we're doing. It's all very, let's keep it low key. We don't want to, incite any rage from students. We want to be accepting of everyone. And I think that attitude is really disgusting for a university that preaches that they want equality, they want safety, because they're not communicating to their students that they're interested in their safety. They're simply just pushing it to the side, saying we're running things, but it's not important enough for us to talk about. I think when you look at sexual harassment, not just in universities but as a whole, a majority of it happens between young people and in locations such as universities or student bars. And to understand sexual assault later on in life, I think you have to start at the roots, and a lot of the culture is bred in universities. There's a lot of lad culture. There's a lot of just misunderstanding of what counts as sexual assault, for example. Some people don't realise they've been sexually assaulted. And by recording anything that happens in universities, we start to see a pattern on how this unfolds later on in wider communities, later years. So I think it's absolutely vital to be recording these stats before it almost gets out into the wide world, if you like.
And overall, as a whole, how successful do you think Essex is at combating sexual assault and harassment on campus?
Obviously, I can't speak from personal experience, but from what I've seen, I don't think it's particularly successful. I've spoken to a lot of students who have been victims of sexual assault on campus, and either they've reported it and nothing's come of it, or they don't feel comfortable enough to report it, and that in itself is a failure of addressing sexual assault on campus. If their own students don't feel comfortable enough to go and talk to someone, then they're failing their students. And until we get, more communication, we're not afraid to talk about it from the highest levels of university down to, freshers just starting. Until that's an open conversation, I personally think that the university will be failing.